Starbucks. As I mentioned before, the hotels have really lost out because they are no longer the center of activity for the community and for guests. What is the new center of activity, or what is called the third place in the English language? Starbucks. Started in 1985. Market capitalization right now at $17 billion. Net income last year of $368 million. 16,635 stores and 150,000 employees. All because they created a culture around coffee. And hotels are closing their F&B operations. Something's wrong here. Something is terribly wrong. And the only way for a hotel to get back in the game is to say to how can I become that third place for people in my community, for guests who are visiting my city? What can I do to become a better third place? This has to be designed. There's a design process here. Typically, what has happened is that we have been excellent at growing our hotels. So we have new hotels developing all the time. An awful lot of focus on brand proliferation. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But if that's the focus, and not a focus on the guest and the guest experience, it doesn't take long before the brand gets into real problems. The alternative, as I've been pointing out, is customer solutions. The other alternative is to build what I call a profit pyramid. And this is not just rooms, comfort and security. It's more. Today, more than ever, particularly in many of the major cities, security is going to become one of the biggest issues. And I was in Tel Aviv not too long ago, and I can tell you how strong the security is in Tel Aviv hotels. But you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. And yet you feel absolutely safe there. And that might come and could come right here to this country. And what's the soft target? Hotels are soft targets. So be prepared. We were big in culinary, and we can be even bigger. But we need to create culinary sensations and build this love affair that today we have with food and wine. Are hotels doing that? Not in my estimation. Not in my estimation. They have to become systems solutions providers, and then what they can do is also build links with other brands. So that becomes a profit pyramid. You're adding, it's like that recurrent revenue that this has. If you can get every hotel to have a recurrent revenue stream, your shareholders will be jumping for joy. That's one of the big challenges. The other challenge, connectivity. Connecting into the community, connecting into the interests of your customers. And the other one is specialization. And of course, what better than Las Vegas to convey specialization in gambling and entertainment in the Bellagio Hotel? But you can specialize, but that means you've got to be even that much better than anybody else in providing a solution to, so let's say you're a convention hotel. Do you have real specialties in what is called learning technologies and the whole approach to learning? For example, this is a terrible setup for learning. If you really wanted to create a learning environment at convention hotels, most of the rooms have to be totally redesigned because they're not appropriate. They are not appropriate. But that comes with specialization. The other one is sustainability, and I mentioned Marriott's approach here. Concern for the planet and the people. Then the next step, once you've identified an opportunity and you think it has potential, then you've got to be very, very systematic in terms of evaluating whether or not it's feasible. you have to determine what's the revenue out of this. What are some of the costs associated? What's the margin of the contribution? What working capital do I need? What's the investment to get me beyond the break-even point? Because there is always a time it takes in order to generate sufficient revenues. And then what sort of resources do I need, and how do I have to develop those resources? Training and development is one of the critical investment items, and I stress the word investment item, not an expense, an investment. And if you are not investing in training and development, you are actually killing the revenue potential, you're increasing your costs, and your margin will disappear like that. You have to operationalize, therefore, to deliver the value. This quotation here, which really is the mission statement, the whole essence of Ritz-Carlton hotels. By the way, Simon Cooper is a Canadian, well, a Brit like me, who supports that. And you go into a Ritz-Carlton hotel and you know that they believe that it's ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And the first ladies and gentlemen refers to their employees. That is the critical aspect of making sure that any business model works in our industry. And to be honest with you, when I go around hotels, I find it very, very lacking. And then processes, and I've just identified this particular process as being the 3R cycle. But today, that is old hat. Processes change, and you have to be on top of them. Today, companies like Marriott are going with LEED hotels. In other words, a LEED certification is the only way to protect your asset in the long term. It's also a way of identifying a market segment that is becoming extremely conscious of what we are doing to our planet. We have to change that.